This is Texas in Color, where Texas's diverse voices shape the conversation on policy, power, and progress. Now, your host, Ronald Gordon.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. This is Texas in Color, the afternoon edition, where we seek out candidates that's running for office. And one reason why Texas in Color is here is to reach out to the Black community and let them know what the issues are all about. And I can't think of a better way to do this because, for granted, we don't have that I call it a town crier anymore. Somebody you go to that knows everything. It's just like it just fell at the wayside. Well, we're trying to bring that village back. Because there was a time when you sat down and you talked to people, and we always talked about the candidates, what we're going to vote for, and all that stuff. But all that kind of sort of went away. But not anymore. We are back this afternoon with this young lady. You'd like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Marvalette Hunter, and I am a candidate for Texas's 38th Congressional District.
Oh, and where's that located at?
Well, Texas is, like I said to you earlier, Texas is different, but the 38th District is in Northwest Houston. So it's the area that comprises Tomball, Cypress, Jersey Village, Katy, Memorial, Spring Branch, and some northwestern parts of Harris County.
Okay. I know the area. When you said Katy, if anybody knows Katy, they know it's close to Houston.
Yeah. Well,
Good.
this district it spans a very large swath of Houston, and it is gerrymandered quite well. But it encompasses many different neighborhoods. It's a very diverse district. It's like 50% minority, actually, but it is heavily a Republican district right now, currently. It's 60% Republican, by the way.
That's not on the map to get chopped up, is it?
Really, in the redistricting, 38 did not change very much.
Okay.
The redistricting effort in Texas has focused primarily on Black and brown communities, minority communities, and those are being devastated. They are being dismantled, and that is where a large part of that effort is targeted towards.
Okay. All right. So you spent over 30 years in the
Yeah.
in public policy, urban planning, economic development. What inspired you to dedicate your career to public service?
Well, I've actually always been a public servant. As you indicated, I have a 30-year career in public policy, housing, economic development. But I started my career actually as a public servant, and my background is architecture, planning, real estate development. And for those 30 years, I've spent half of it in the public sector and half in the private sector, which I think really prepares me well for what it is that I am looking to do, which is to continue to serve in Congress. But I have served as the chief of staff for the late Congressman Sylvester Turner. So I served as his chief of staff, and I currently still serve as the chief of staff for the 18th Congressional District, the office of the 18th Congressional District. Of course, we do not have a representative currently, and that election is scheduled to be on the ballot in this November. But prior to serving as the chief of staff for the congressman, I served as his chief of staff while he was mayor for 8 years, for 2 terms. And I do wear that with the badge of honor because most chief of staffs don't last that long. But that's where I really learned about public policy, really had a passion for service. And after the congressman's passing in March of this year, I had to decide then what it was that I would do. How would I best serve my community? And I just decided that I was not going to sit on the sidelines, that I really couldn't sit on the sidelines while everything that I believed in was being threatened. And so I thought the best way for me to be a part of the solution is to actually be a part of the solution. and that is to throw my hat in the ring to run for Congress for Texas's 38th district. And this is a district that I live in. I have lived here for 21 years. Sometimes they say the best leaders are those that are homegrown, but this is the district that I live in. I've raised 2 children here. They're now off in college, so I have college students now. My husband and I are empty nesters, and I said I have a lot more that I think I can offer with my business experience, as well as my public service and public policy experience, executive leadership experience that I could bring to bear to this position.
One thing that I'm gonna recognize you on this one because you didn't say it, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it. You made history as the first African woman to serve as chief of staff.
I did. I did. I say I wear the badge of honor of being chief of staff for 8 years, but the very first African American woman to ever serve in that role. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
That seems almost not, real, but it is. It is true. And I guess I'm hoping that there won't be, that many more first to come for a lot of African American women, because I know that in most instances we're the most educated, the most experienced, and we certainly can lead. And I think that's been demonstrated by the wonderful leaders that we have all across the state and across the country.
Okay. So, what do you see the most pressing issue facing the 38th district, and how do you plan to address them?
Yeah. Well, you know what? When I look at the 38th district, the first thing that I see is a lack of representation. And that is because I believe that the incumbent who's currently in that position right now has focused on national politics, not local politics, not looking at what the current residents, the constituents of 38 actually want in a leader. It's really a novel idea that we as voters would select our own representatives and that they would go to Washington and represent us. And currently, right now, that's just not happening for the 38, not just for the 38, but many communities across the country. I mean, we have elected leaders right now who don't even hold a town hall, who will not engage with the voters who actually sent them to Washington. That's a problem. And that means that they're not hearing from the voters. They're looking at nationally what's appealing, and they're looking to respond to what's coming down from the White House, basically not recognizing that there are 3 branches of government. And I will just say this, and that is our Republican leaders have basically abdicated their responsibility to lead, and to lead because they've been sent there to represent the people within their districts. And instead, they seem to be more afraid of the tweet that may come in the midnight,
Yeah.
as opposed to a voter who actually went and stood in the lines and voted for them and said, are you going to represent our interests? So our interests in 38, because I am a resident of 38 and have been, as I stated, for 21 years, we're looking at good jobs, a strong economy, managing and curtailing inflation and making the cost of living something that we can afford, right? We want to be able to pay our mortgages, pay our rent if you don't have a mortgage. But what we also want to do is ensure that our kids' future is secure, that they have an opportunity to attend college, if that is their choice, get good jobs. We want to make sure that the streets are safe for us to leave our homes, right? To go about and just handle everyday business. We want to make sure that we can afford good health care and insurance. And you know what? Childcare is a major issue here.
Oh,
And we want to also make sure that Social Security is protected after we have worked so long, and that cuts to Medicare and Medicaid do not happen, and that our veterans are taken care of because they have served us well. So the things that I'm running on are things that are important to District 38 residents, not all across the country, and certainly not what the White House would like to see. But it's those voters who actually sent the representative there to legislate on their behalf. And that basically just is not happening.
Exactly. I agree with you because I was telling somebody the other day, no matter what goes on in Washington, take care of your home first. Because your home comes first.
Exactly.
Because you could help people at home. Whatever comes down for Washington, yes. If you get kibbles and bits, we are
Yeah.
so resilient as a people. We could stretch a dollar. We could do anything like that. But like you said, someone's so focused on what's going over in DC, they're forgetting about home.
Forgetting about home. And that's the basic thing. I mean, we don't want to be sitting here worried about the next storm, the next flood. Look at what happened in Central Texas. Do we
Yeah.
have leaders who are up in Washington and making sure that those federal dollars are getting to Houston so that our homes don't flood, so that we don't lose everything again? I mean, is that what is the focus of what's happening? Or is it the constant chaos, confusion, and culture wars? And that's basically what we see. It's like culture war after culture war.
Hmm.
I mean, when are we going to just start focusing on what is good for the people? It's about people,
Yeah.
not politics. And for me, this is personal because I really do believe that our elected leaders need to be held accountable by the people. And right now, I don't believe that they're doing that. I just don't think that they really fear, let me just use that word, the voters. I
Hmm.
think they think we're just going to get over it and they're just going to focus on the things that's important to them. And we can change that.
Okay. So let me ask you something. How do you plan to engage the young people, women,
Yes.
and communities of color in the
Yeah.
political process?
You know, I think everyone right now, they are interested in what's happening. I think people are beginning to wake up and see that maybe they voted a certain way, but they see the detrimental impacts of those votes. I also think that people, young and old, are beginning to focus in on their futures, and they're saying we want leaders that care about our futures and that are, working and fighting on our behalf. I have not seen so much energy behind, young people even coming and just saying, I want someone to fight for us. I want someone that's going to be out there listening to what it is that I need and basically doing that, not having their own agenda, but their agenda is my agenda. How do I intend to engage? I intend to listen. I intend to listen and I intend to be responsive. And I think that's the best kind of leader, the leader who actually hears what the constituents are saying, what it is that they need. I don't think that there's a shortage of people that are lined up to be a part of the political process. I just think people feel like it hasn't really worked for them.
Hmm.
It hasn't worked for them. And as soon as you let them know that there's someone there that is not only listening, but willing to fight for what is important to them, I think they will respond. So I really don't think that there's a shortage of people who want to be engaged. I just think we just need to reach out to them and make sure that they know that we are there for them.
Okay, I touched on base about the young people. The reason
Mhm.
why I did that, did a little research. Do you know in the next few years, we are going to have a block
Mm.
of young people coming out of high school who went through the shootings, who went through all this stuff that the government did nothing for them. I'm saying if in my mind, if this block come together and vote one way, they're going to terrorize or one
Right.
party, not terrorize, but make them feel like, oh no, we forgot about them. You can't
Right.
forget about the
Right.
young people because the young people, like I was explaining to somebody one time, we have elections. They say, yeah. So when we vote in that election, that's not for today. That's for the
Yes.
future. Y'all
Mhm.
got, and I think they're losing that. Right. They think whatever we vote for today is going to take place today. No,
Right.
it doesn't work like that. That is the
Mm.
reason why a program like Texas in Color, we want to educate the voter on how the process is. Because
How the process works.
yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot of them don't know how the process works. So you know what happens?
Mhm.
If they don't know how to work, then they're not going to vote.
Right, right. And I can tell you one other thing about them. And I have two young people of, voting age. One is 23 and one that is 21. And I talk to them all the time about, are you aware of what's happening? Yes, Mom, I'm aware of what's happening. And I can't believe that it's happening. But then I said, do you realize that you're the key to changing it? That you are it? They don't really see themselves aligning with parties. It's not about party for them. We have to appeal to young people based on what it is that they need, what it is that is important to them. We have to break it down and let them know, well, that student loan that you have and that you would have after school, then this set of policies, this agenda would actually address that. You're looking to graduate this year and you're looking for that good job and you want to go back to the community that you were raised in. Well, who is about economic development and business development and supporting business growth and expansion within the area that you come from? Which political party or which platform is addressing that issue for you? We have to make it very personal to young people in order to engage them. Many of them will be new to the political process, but when they listen to the chaos and the confusion and the partisanship, they are not feeling like we need to be a part of that. We don't need to be a part of that because for them, that's noise. But when you make it real as to this issue affects you, that health insurance that you're about to come off of your parents' health insurance and have your own, would you actually be able to afford it? Will you be able to buy that home or will you need
Right.
to live with your parents? What about that, that first home? Will you be able to afford it? That mortgage and homeowners insurance? Would you be able to get that? Those are the issues that really resonate with young voters. And those voters, they will vote if they feel their interests are being addressed.
Exactly. So that's a good segue to the next question. You said that.
Mhm.
How will you work across party lines
Yes, yes, yes,
to
yes.
move forward, especially on issues that directly impact Texas?
Yeah. Well, I can just tell you this, Ron. This one thing, and that's probably been the most disappointing for me because I've always been a person who felt like I could talk to anyone, and I can. And I think that we have to have a dialogue so that we can at least find the common ground. We won't agree on everything, but
Mm.
if we could have that dialogue, then we can at least find that one thing that we could agree on and then begin to build from that. What I saw in Washington while I was there with the congressman is that, you know, the different parties, they don't talk to one another
Mhm.
very often. There's less and less opportunities for, coming together and finding common ground when you can't even come together and have a conversation.
Right.
The rhetoric is just so partisan and it just really does not lend itself to coming together and having a thoughtful conversation about real issues that impact real people. And so what I saw kind of discouraged me in some ways because what I saw is everything came down to the vote, and the vote is very, very, very close. But when you have one side that's not really looking at what is in the best interest for the people that they represent, that's a problem. And so what I've decided is I will talk with anyone. I will meet with anyone. I will sit down and try to have a conversation to come up and find common ground on at least one issue
Yeah.
that we can agree on and try to build from that. But what I have come away with is that for those who refuse to do that, they must be removed. They have to go. For those leaders, elected leaders that are in Washington, D.C., who have just abdicated their own responsibilities to legislate based on what the White House is telling them to do, in the face of hurting the very voters who sent them to Washington, they must be replaced. And that is why I am running to be the next congressperson for the 38th district. Because while I am a Democrat, a very strong Democrat, and this is a mostly Republican area, I am thinking that there are enough people out there that believe, like I do, that they have not been adequately represented. So for that reason, we are looking to flip the seat.
And yes, let's do that. You hit on a couple of points there that you want to reach across the aisle and talk, but it got so toxic there. Since this one guy's in office now, he's the one that split everything up. And if we got some Republicans out there that are scared to death to vote against him because, like you said, they worry about that tweet. If they turn around and vote why the people put them there and vote their conscience, it could be taken care of. But a stronghold is on them right now, on them, that they can't probably go to the bathroom without asking. And
I don't understand it.
I can't figure it out.
I
But
don't understand it.
but the best way to get things out there is doing what we're doing right now, talking about the issues, seeing what's going on. The next thing I want to bring up is not in my questions, but I am sort of disappointed. I mean, I'm more than disappointed on why they hold Black women in political office to a higher standard than anybody else. They want to know why. Well, what makes you sure you could be a judge? You passed everything. You did, but they question everything that you do. See, now that's a part right there. I'm gonna tell everybody this is what they do. They want to throw doubt out there. That's the way. If they throw doubt, enough people hang on to that doubt, they're gonna ask the same questions. Now, the same people that's throwing doubt your way, could they have went through the classroom? Could they have stayed up all night studying? Could they have raised a family? Could they have cooked? Could they have done all that? Absolutely not. That's
Yeah.
the reason why. That's the reason why Black women in general are very resilient on what they do.
They are. And it reminds me when you stated that I was thinking about Michelle Obama and recently in a podcast where she just said, I'm done with this scam. It's a scam. And the interviewer asked her, what's a scam? She says, to listen to people tell you you don't belong, to listen to people doubt your intelligence or doubt your abilities or your commitment. And she says, I just had to come to the realization that I know as much. I'm as smart. I can do anything, right? That's what she said. What I say is this: you can't make me doubt what I know God has already gifted me with, right? That's definitely intelligence. I've got that. But no one is going to outwork me. That's the other thing. You don't have to know everything. African American women are strong, as you stated. We are resilient, as you stated. We are educated. We are powerful. We have something like an internal strength
Right.
that just comes forward. And it just says, you will deal with me, right? But it really has to come down to our own belief in what it is that we are sent here to do. What is our passion? What is our purpose? And when your passion and your purpose is about service to others above yourself, I believe, this is my personal belief, that God will put you in the positions that you need to be in to be able to lift others up. That's what I'm about. That's what I've been about for my whole career, is about public service, making sure that others are taken care of. And, as women, we're kind of naturally nurturers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I take that a step further and I say that I'm about empowering others to do good. And that starts with, being an elected official and empowering the community that I come from, the constituents that I serve to have a better life. And that's what you should be doing as an elected official. It shouldn't be about you. It shouldn't be about your job. It shouldn't be about your position. It should be about the people that you represent. And I think that a lot of people right now in this country are waking up and saying, I think our elected officials may have gotten it wrong. We're gonna change that dynamic.
Okay. Last question. When the campaign trails get tough, I mean, real
Mm,
tough, what would keep you motivated?
mm. My commitment to serve, my commitment to be a part of the solution. I grew up in church and I believe strongly that God gives us position, He gives us priorities, He gives us power, and He gives us everything that we need to be successful in addressing those issues. So when things get tough for me, I still go back to the same thing that I started with, which is my faith in what God has called me to do. And that is that He would give me everything that I need to be successful. He's already given that to us. But sometimes we have to be bold. We have to be courageous. We have to step out in faith. And we have to decide that my comfort zone, where I am today, it doesn't even compare to what others are going through. So someone asked me, are you not afraid of running for office? I'm more afraid of being irrelevant in a time when there's so much at stake than I am of being talked about or being challenged. My fear is of being irrelevant at a time when it's most important for my children, and their children, and my neighbors.
Hmm. Okay. Wow. Okay. That was the last question, but one final remark from you on how people can help you out, how can they get a
Yeah.
hold of you and all that good stuff, because we got to have that coming in to help you out.
Yes. Well, listen, I really appreciate you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, this platform, just to share just a little bit about who I am. I know people, don't know I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm an entrepreneur, right? I'm a proud Texan running to be the next congressperson for the 38th district, Congressional District. They can get in touch with me by going to marvaletthunter.com. And that is just my name, Marvalette, Marvalette, Hunter.com. And I'll tell people a little funny thing. I was named after the Marvalettes
I was going to ask
back in
that
the
question.
60s. I know, everybody, I can almost see it in people's face. They want to ask, but I don't know if I should ask. But yes, my mom was, to the Motown era, but it is the Marvalettes, but it's marvaletthunter.com. And they can get information about our campaign. They can certainly sign on to volunteer. They can certainly sign on to donate to help us in getting our message out. But we will be out there. We will be out there every day talking to people and listening to people, because I think that is what is missing from our current elected officials more than anything.
I agree with you. Well, Marvalette, I was going to ask that question. We
I
appreciate
know.
we appreciate you taking the time out coming on
Thank
board,
you.
and we do want to see you again sometime in October, because the election is November. So we want to reach back out to you to get the update on things that you're doing and all that good stuff. In other words, to keep people informed that you are out there.
I am definitely out there. and they can go and read all about my bio. I didn't spend a lot of time talking about that. But like I said, there's a lot in my background that fuels why I'm doing what I'm choosing to do. And I think when people read about that, they'll be able to put those pieces together rather easily. I worked for someone who got up every day thinking about how to make other people's lives better. And I think that's what a real leader should do. And that is exactly what I plan to do.
Okay. All right. You take care until next time.
Thank you.
Okay.
You too.
All right. Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on Texas in Color, where informed voices shape a stronger Texas. We appreciate your time and engagement. Subscribe, share, and meet us next episode. Until then, stay informed and stay involved. If you value this work, please consider supporting our efforts on Cash App Texas in Color and join us again soon.